baseball can be a funny sport sometimes, can't it? You can go from playing one of your best games one night to playing really sloppy and losing the next day, and even in spite of all that, you can still come out the next day and find a way to win the series. If that sounds familiar and is adding up for you, that's exactly the position that South Carolina is in right now. The Gamecocks, after picking up a 10-2 win on Friday night, came back on Saturday and dropped the middle game of this 3-game series against Missouri 8-3, and right out of the gate, it looked like South Carolina was going to pick up right where it left off on Friday night. They had runners on the corners with 1 out and looked to be getting to Missouri's starting pitcher, but unfortunately for him, he had to exit the game early with an injury, and that gave way to the Tigers turning to their bullpen rather early. They went with Carter Rustad. After a brief delay, he came in and got the job done and put a 0 on the board as South Carolina left the bases loaded in the first inning. And then from there, Missouri tacked on 4 runs against Eli Jones in the first inning, and we're coming out swinging. And look, Jones did not have his best stuff today. He only went 2 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits on 7 runs, walking 3 and striking out 2 on just 57 pitches. He really hasn't looked like himself lately, and Mark Kingston said after the game they have to figure out what the case is, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he's moved from the Friday role to the Saturday starter now. But another issue that, will kind of get overlooked today on the final stat line is the fact that his defense really didn't do all that much to help him out. In the first inning there, Kennedy Jones bobbles a ball that gets hit to him in left field, and if he makes a clean transfer, there's no way that runner from second scores without much trouble. But unfortunately, that happened, and then later in the inning, Jones is 1 out away from getting out of the jam, and then he gets a ground ball to second base, and because Ethan Petrie was playing so far off the bag, he really had to hustle over to first, and he never got his foot on the bag, and 2 runs scored as a result, and just like that, you're down 4-0, and that was kind of the difference in the game, if we're being honest. I mean, South Carolina fought back late, but, because of the way Rustad pitched today, I mean, he went 6 2/3 innings out of relief, gave up 3 runs on 5 hits with 6 strikeouts and no walks. It was just one of those days, and look, you have to come back out tomorrow and play a lot better. Kingston said after the game that he's not really worried about where this team's at. He thinks that just because they have 1 bad game doesn't mean you change what you've been doing so well for the last 2 weeks. After all, he did say they've been one of the best teams in the country for the last 2 weeks, and he would be right about that. So South Carolina will be back in action for the 3rd and final game of this 3-game series against Missouri tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. on SEC Network Plus. They'll look to pick up the series victory, as they haven't named a starting pitcher yet, but one has to assume that Dylan Eskew is probably going to be on the mound tomorrow, as the Gamecocks used both Matthew Becker and Tyler Pitzer out of relief today. So that is going to do it for me today. For GamecockCentral.com, I'm Jack Veltri.